Hey guys, I think we are ready to start now. So I'm Sheila from Grab Ventures, parts of programs and investments team. Next slide, please. So here with us in this call, we have Aditi, myself, and Guan from Grab, and also Jocelyn and Geraldine from IMDA. Say hi, guys.
Hi,
all.
Hi.
Okay, before we start, so we'll start with the presentation to let you know more about Grab Ventures Ignite. So during this time, please mute yourself or we will mute you. And in the end, we will end with FAQ and open Q&A session to answer some questions that you might have. Okay, let's start then. So what is Grab Ventures Ignite, right? Grab Ventures Ignite is a 14 weeks program. We customize this for Singapore startups who are looking to expand to Vietnam or already present in Vietnam. We are very excited about launching this tailored program with IMDA because it's the first collaboration where we do cross-border exchange. We have very strong support from both public and private partners. So on top of DISG and IMDA, we are also partnering with Vietnam's National Innovation Center. So they are under the Ministry of Planning and Investment in Vietnam to plan and execute this program. We have also onboarded prominent partners from their respective field. We have regional venture capital firm, Gobi Partners, Tong for the #1 co-working space in Vietnam, YKVN for legal advisory, and AWS, who we have been working with for the last couple of years to scale our startups as well. Okay, so what actually happens during the core program? So this program focuses on capability building through a combination of world-class workshops, one-on-one mentorships with senior leaders, peer learning, and networking. So startups can expect to deepen Vietnam market knowledge and accelerate their expansion plans to Vietnam. For the in-kind benefits, you're eligible for up to $100,000 of cloud credit. This is in USD. And in addition, you will also get access to co-working space and facilities at Pixel during the duration of this program, which is from May to August. And in additional to that, there will also be one-on-one consultation from experts in customer-centric innovation provided by IMDA. At the end of this program, we will also have a demo day where we invite regional and local Vietnamese investors. So it will be a chance for all startups to showcase and raise funding. And lastly, right, like it is the most important actually, immersion trips to Vietnam and Indonesia. So you will get in-market exposure in Vietnam, as well as learning about other Grab markets and startup ecosystem. Of course, this is subject to the current situation, and we will get to that later during FAQ session. Okay, so now let me show you the profile of our speakers who we can expect in the program. So our experts come from diverse backgrounds. We usually mix founders and Grab leaders to some VCs as well. I hope everyone knows Anthony Tan. He is our CEO and co-founder. And from Gobi Partners, we also have Kenneth, which is VP of Investments. And Shannon is also a partner as well as a co-founder herself. So she is the co-founder of Orami. We also have Hyvan with us. She is our country head in Vietnam. And a few other profiles are like Dang, which is the head of R&D in Vietnam. Mr. Kong. Mr. Kong is the general director of NIC, which is our partner. So we're also bringing many more leading both Vietnamese and global leaders to all our workshops and mentors. So these are just some samples of the profiles. Okay, I will hand this to Geraldine or Jocelyn. Do you want to talk about the Singapore Bootcamp?
Yeah, thanks, Sheila. This is Geraldine from IMDA Pixel. So I'll talk a little bit more about the Singapore Bootcamp and what our focus will be for the Singapore Bootcamp. So the Singapore Bootcamp is actually intended to have participants build capabilities in the area of customer-centric innovation, specifically in 3 areas. The first is design thinking. Second is user interface and user experience. And the third is in digital storytelling, particularly from the perspective of brand storytelling. So what will be happening during the Singapore Bootcamp is that it will be a 3-day series of workshops and master classes. And to help to provide this expertise in these 3 areas, we've actually brought in partners from EY Digital, Lime Agency, and Orca Design to come in and train the participants during this bootcamp. Each day will likely have like 1 workshop that will be running, and followed by sharing sessions by Grab Singapore experts in that particular area as well. So we say, for instance, today's workshop is going to be a little bit about maybe user experience design. Then the intention is to then see whether we can have sharing sessions that are also focused in this area to help to reinforce some of the learning, as well as to also see some live use cases of how such techniques can be applied in developing very customer-centric products and services. Another thing that we are considering is to pull together a panel session on the Vietnam market to also have opportunities for the companies to connect with each other, as well as with Grab, executives, partners, also IMDA, as well as the folks from the digital industry Singapore team. So all the networking, expertise, capability building is a joint effort across Grab, IMDA, Pixel, as well as DISG. So Sheila, that's all from me for this part.
Okay, thanks, Geraldine. The other one is, what does a typical day look like for the other weeks, right? For workshops. So these are some sample workshops that we intend to have. Typically, we give multiple perspectives. In this case, you will get learnings from NIC, which is the Vietnamese government, and also the Grab Vietnam leaders. So you will get to learn their view on the prospect for startups in Vietnam and market expansion. You will also get to learn about relevant consumer trends and nuances, tech ecosystem, key regulatory considerations, etc. And what's more important is you will get many opportunities to network with local Vietnamese founders, given that you will be in 1 cohort with them. So you will get exposure already to at least like 15 Vietnamese founders in your cohort. But we will bring in more founders for the mixers and fireside chats. Also, we have a lot of partners from Grab. So we can do a lot of introductions and networking with Vietnamese partners, corporates, and local VCs. So we really just want to create a safe environment where you get to learn and also get direct feedback through the workshops. Okay, next. In terms of timeline, currently we are third week of March. We are accepting applications right now, and the applications will close on April 10. The program itself will start on the week of May 11 and will run for 14 weeks until mid-August. The Singapore leg program will take place in June, whereas the immersion trip to Indonesia right now it's in July, and yeah, we expect to wrap up in August, with demo day being the last day. Okay, so here we are for the frequently asked questions first, before we open up to the Q&A sessions. So I'll go through some of the questions that startups typically ask us. The first one being, how are participating startups assessed? So for this pilot, Grab and IMDA, we will both evaluate the Singapore startups based on a range of criteria, including but not limited to the core team strength itself and existing standing in the Singapore market, potential fit with Vietnamese market, and readiness to expand. I think what we say about the existing standing in Singapore market, it means that you should already be at a stage where you're in a good position and already ready to expand. Because when you're too early as a startup, you probably need to focus more on still in Singapore first and not ready to expand. So these are like the key assessment and the startups that we're looking for. Second is, how many startups will be selected for this program? 5 startups will be selected for this, the Singapore-based one. 2 startups will be selected for the full accelerator program, which spans across 14 weeks. Whereas the other 3 startups, they will get the opportunity to join in a 3-day boot camp, which is jointly hosted by Grab, IMDA, Pixel, and DISG, which will take place in Singapore. Okay, I think the last 2 are the topic that we can never avoid in this situation right now. So, will COVID-19 affect the program? We're closely monitoring the situation along with our partners. We are ready to adjust the program accordingly to minimize the risk and exposure to our participants. We won't be postponing the program, but we will look to deliver the best experience for all participating startups and partners. So this is related to the last question. One of the questions we get is, how will you deliver the program given that there's COVID-19, or how will it be delivered? So I think like in this situation, right, we believe that all companies will have to adapt to a new way of working. So we're quite confident that the nature of startups already embrace flexibility. So this will allow for the program to continue in a seamless manner. So if you see other programs, schools, and companies, they're already conducting a lot of like virtual. So when the situation calls for it, we will move to conduct most of the sessions for the program online, including the planned bootcamp, master classes, and mentorships via conferences or meetings. So while we still plan for the immersion trip to be in June and July, they are subjected to change as we review and assess the viability based on the situation. So we will work closely with IMDA, given that there are existing travel restrictions now. We want to make sure that we deliver a curated experience for the Singapore startups and ensure that they benefit from this program. So for example, right, some pivots that we can do is one-on-one networking sessions with other startups and within GREP's network. Okay, so I think we will open now for Q&A. So we have Aditi and myself from GREP again, and Jocelyn and Geraldine from IMDA. Please feel free to unmute yourself to ask the question directly, or you can also type in the chat box if you have any question.
Hi, my name is Wei Yuan. Maybe I can get the ball rolling. Can you just get like a sense of like the profiles of the people that we might be able to network with during the Vietnamese and Indonesian immersion?
Hi, Guan, can you go back to the profile of speakers? So it will be a mix. Definitely you will be exposed to all the GREP leaders, IMDA, and our partners. So our partners right now who are supporting us are Gobi partners and NIC. And we're also bringing in other Vietnamese founders. So some of these are actually, because we are running 2 programs now, these are the people that we've had in the past as well to run our workshops.
Thank you.
Yes, hi, this is Cesar. Does the program has any cost for the startups?
Hi, yes. So we're going on a co-funding principle, and we would like companies to show more commitment by contributing and covering their own travel and accommodation cost. So from the startup side, you will need to board the airfare and accommodation.
And how much is it? Do you have an estimation or something?
We don't have an estimation per se.
Work from home is something that
I think to give you a sense of the 2 scenarios where we're looking at right now, right? One is the situation doesn't evolve and the program remains largely digital, in which case the Singapore startups do not bear anything because there's no program fee. In a scenario where there's actually travel that is happening to Vietnam and Indonesia, the program is built in a way that across 14 weeks, there's generally 1 day per week contact face-to-face time for all the startups to get together in Ho Chi Minh City for about 10 weeks out of the 14 weeks. So that means, yeah, so exactly that's the Ho Chi Minh part, and the immersion trip in Indonesia is about a 3-day presence in Jakarta.
And if it's any help, so for Ho Chi Minh, right, because we do travel there a lot before this situation, there are you can actually take a 1-day trip if you want to, we've done that in the past, but sometimes, for example, if you would like to explore more and spend a little bit more time in Vietnam, then you can also use that opportunity.
Yep. Hi. Sorry, I have 2 questions. I've actually typed it out and sent it to Guan and Aditi. So what I'd like to find out, this is Michelle here. I'd like to find out, are there any specific industry types that you are prioritizing for this program? And the next question here is, with this program that you have with the introductory phase and boot camp and all that, after that, what happens? I mean, is the extent of the program just that, or is there more of a hand-holding after that, or is there an ecosystem that you have that we get into? What exactly does that look like?
Thanks for your question, Michelle. So on the first part, which is around industries, so per se, we are actually industry agnostic. Essentially for Singapore, looking at any startups where we believe that there is either an early product market fit already, or at the very least, there's readiness and a material intent to expand into Vietnam market. So we are quite broad in that sense. At the same time, we would look for startups that either any of Grab or our program partners can quite naturally support. So anything that has synergies with our platform is something that we are more likely to be able to support better. For example, anything has some good fit with their GVI partners portfolio, they are able to support better. So those are the kind of startups we would tend to prioritize, but generally we are fairly sector agnostic. That's the first part. The second part, post program. So one, I think the program, the bootcamp and the overall 3-month program is really meant to give the intention from both IMDA Pixel side and Grab side is to give one big jump start to any startups plans on looking at a market. So our request is to see, can we actually provide a quick landing pad by connecting you to a whole bunch of local investors, by helping you connect to a bunch of local strategic partners, including Grab, but not only Grab, but other partners, that corporate partners that Grab has, and also a local community of founders that can really help you get started over there. I think the benefit that we have with this program, that's why we have set it up as a pilot. We're not planning to work with 10 startups in the first go. We're actually starting to work with only 2 startups because we also want to learn and understand what is the, beyond just the 3-month support, what is the kind of support that can be required by a startup that is actually looking at a new market. So in that sense, with 2 startups, we have more degree of flex in terms of how we can still continue to work with post program. Is there anything structured after the 3 months? No. But we have 15 startups in our regional portfolio so far, and we continue to work with them on a fairly regular basis, helping them connect to Grab business units or investors or any other topics. We expect to be able to do the same for the Singapore startups as well after the program. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, so I just also wanted to add on, besides the on the Grab side where there is some follow-ups in terms of plugging into the ecosystem, from Pixel's end also after the Singapore bootcamp, actually we're also arranging for one-to-one consultation sessions for the 5 startups to further meet with experts, so that even after the Singapore bootcamp, for the duration of the program itself, they can also still consult with them on certain issues that the experts can potentially help them with, whether it's like doing a usability test or doing a usability review of their product. And I think after that as well, there's also potential for some to apply for some follow-on grants if the company is qualified to apply for them from the some grants are being offered by ESG that can allow you to go into the market and cover some of the in-market costs of setting up or participating in trade shows and things like that. So there's a little bit of extra funding on the end as well.
Yeah. Hello. Can you guys hear me? I'm Jocelyn.
Yes.
Yes, can hear you. Yeah.
So everyone, just to add on to what Geraldine had said, what Enterprise Singapore have is actually open to all Singapore registered companies with the eligibility is actually more in terms of your ownership. So it's actually all on the website. But what we can do to facilitate some of this post-program support is to link you up with the right colleagues in Enterprise Singapore. Let's say you fall into different sectors that's beyond Infocom and media, that's one. And number two, there are actually broad range of other programs under Enterprise Singapore Startup. And they run various programs, they run various networks. So we facilitate the introduction to the relevant colleagues over there for them to talk to you more during the program or even after the program.
Okay, the next two questions here on the chat is, one is on the deadline. Deadline for the application is April 10. So do apply before that. After this, we'll send you a link. The other one is, could you share what can we expect in the 3-day immersion trip in Indonesia? Okay, so Indonesia, it will be very similar. We will have a mix of workshops and networking, but for example, just giving an agenda, what a day one could look like, right? First, you get a chance to hear from a really big local founder in Indonesia, and also get to hear a little bit about Grab Kitchen, which is our startup that we created in-house that has grown into the biggest regional cloud kitchen players now. And you also get to do a lot of networking and opportunities to meet the other program. Like we're also running Grab Ventures Velocity right now. So you will get to meet other local founders as well for the sharing. So it will be very similar, but you will get to meet the Indonesian founders and leaders as well as VCs. How many will we shortlist? So we will shortlist 5 startups, as mentioned earlier. 2 startups will be able to join the full program, while the other 3 startups will join the Singapore Bootcamp. There's another question from Dana. Do we need to pay if we are selected? Geraldine or Joe, do you want to take this?
Yeah, so I'll take this question. So the program cost is free, but because we are going on like a co-funding principle, so we would like to have companies to show their commitment, and hence that's why we're also the companies will need to cover their own travel accommodation costs in the event that, you know, the situation gets better. We can fly out to Vietnam to participate in the program. Then that's where there will be some costs involved in that lah. But if we continue on in this situation where everything's going to be done virtually, there's going to be, you know, no traveling done, then because there's no cost to the program, then participants will not need to pay for any costs. For the three companies that are not traveling to participate in the Vietnam program in the Vietnam market, those that are the three startups that are participating only in the Singapore bootcamp, there's no program cost to them at all.
Hi, Eugene. So you're asking, let me know how long do we have to be in Vietnam if selected. So during this 14 weeks, 10 weeks will actually be in Vietnam, typically 1 day per week.
Thank you.
Actually, while there are, I believe there are no more questions yet, could I take a quick poll across the group? Are any of the startups already in Vietnam market? You can raise your hand in the chat. So only one, yeah. Second show of hands, are there any startups in the group right now that are that were already looking to start doing some consumer studies or some strategy for Vietnam market in this quarter itself? That's Tana. Okay, so Benny, Tana, Shubham, and I think it was Sean earlier already, right? I think, yeah, just in case there are no more questions, just wanted some quick thoughts. If you're open to sharing broadly with the group, where are you in your Vietnam journey, market entry journey right now, and what are some of the challenges that you're facing, and what could be the support you think could be valuable at this point in time for you guys? Just if anyone is interested to share, that will be quite helpful for us to hear, or we can also connect offline. Okay, I see something from Dana.
There's one question from Dana. If the startup is not part of the 5 selected, is there any other support available from IMDA and Grab? We can start with IMDA. Jerry?
Yes, hi. From IMDA's perspective, if you are interested to continue to look into customer-centric innovation, so for instance, the topics in the bootcamp were interesting. We do have our own offerings in these areas that we offer that are available to Singapore-based companies, and that's something that we can discuss online. So Dana, you can text me or PM me about it later. I think Jocelyn mentioned the Enterprise Singapore grants earlier, which are actually available for Singapore-based companies. Am I right, Jocelyn?
Yes, just to add on, enterprise themselves have their wide base of programs called Enterprise Development Grants. Those are open to all the companies that have the eligibility, number one. And number two, IMDA is actually a partner in terms of reviewing applications for Enterprise Development Grant called EDG for the ICM companies. So some of the proposals might be floated to our colleagues at IMDA. So that program is open. There's no call, there's no so-called expiry or end date. So regardless of whether you are selected, you can still apply if it fits what your purpose is. And they have a range of support for capability development, product innovation, pilots, and as well as overseas market expansion.
Dana here. To that, Dana, yeah, sorry, yes, please go on.
Yeah, sorry, I thought, sorry to interrupt. Actually, I was more specific on the IMDA programs like Go Digital, and also I read through via the Enterprise Singapore that you guys also support MSMEs to adopt technologies. So we are running a platform, a SaaS platform. So what we are looking is also to look inwards within Singapore, whether the technology adoption programs can be tapped into for us to get more leverage.
Okay, if I hear you correctly, what you're asking for is whether you could, your company could participate in a program like, say, for instance, SME Go Digital, where your solution could be curated for a pre-approval solution. Is that correct?
Yeah, you're right. You got it.
Sure, definitely. Even without coming in this program, we can actually connect you with the colleagues that's working on this. They run regular info sessions every month to share, and they will open up for applications for companies to submit, and then they will do the necessary evaluation.
Okay, I think you guys told to submit or take it offline. If you guys can share some of the contacts where we can connect, that'll be very appreciated.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi Shubham, I think there's a question on where can I access this webinar recording after this session. We'll send it to your email after the session. Taking any last questions here? Anyone have any other questions?
No questions on our end. Thank you very much, actually.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will lift this link up for a bit now. So if you haven't applied, please apply.
Mm.